And welcome to the program, Charles Moscowitz. Thank you for joining me. I'm doing some limited program up until the official launch of the program, which is going to be Friday, January 1st of 2022, the new year. And the program will be broadcasting live Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. The flagship of the program is Rumble. You can go to the Rumble site, and indeed, let me just see, they're doing the little intro music here. Are we live on Rumble? Rumble, well, I don't see it happening yet on Rumble. So assumedly we're live on Rumble. Here we are.
Well,
Yes, we are.
I don't see it happening yet
Let
on
me
Rumble. So
let me see if I can lower the volume.
assumedly we're live on.
We are indeed live on Rumble. Thank you very much. And you can do commentary on the live chat on Rumble. So go to Rumble and look up Charles Moscowitz live, and you will see, well, the Charles Moscowitz on Rumble. You'll see the website. You can do some chatting if you'd like. You can also call in the program, 617-396-4958 is the number. 617-396-4958. Now, I am going to, and I've looked forward to launching previously the program with my YouTube channel as the flagship, but not that I'm surprised, but last week, I came to the attention of the masters over at YouTube as a conservative commentator, and they began to strike down some of my old videos, even going back years, and send me warnings, and they sent me a strike. And these were for, generally conservative commentary. They referred to me as engaging in hate speech, which I deeply resent as a radio talk show host in the greater Boston area for the better part of 20 years. I understand hate speech, I understand community standards, and I don't do those things. This is political. This is a purge, and it includes some significant people on YouTube, like Steve Bannon, whose program is huge on Apple. I think he's got something like 80 to 90 million downloads. And people like Sebastian Gorka, who was an advisor to President Trump. President Trump himself has been banned from YouTube, even to the point where he was interviewed by his own daughter-in-law, and that was banned on YouTube. So I'm not surprised that I'm being limited on YouTube. I know that my station has been shadow banned and algorithmed for at least a year. The reason I know that is because I've gotten more than a few reports of people who had tried to subscribe to the station, and then they had their subscription canceled without them knowing it. So that tells me that I'm already being watched over there. So in a way, I'm glad that this has come to a head before the beginning of the year, because I want to launch this program at the beginning of the year. And I will be doing it on Rumble as the flagship station, with about 9 or 10 other live streams, including Sprecher, which is a pretty good one. And also about 20 to 25 podcast sites, which include both video and audio, or just audio. And so I think that, I'm stepping into it, so to speak, with a pretty significant potential footprint to really develop a live program. And my goal here is to do just that, have a live program where I have guests on, where we can discuss issues in a real deep way and in a no holds barred way without any censorship. We can get, and that can be, sometimes we could do humor, we could do, philosophy, we could do politics. And I don't have to constantly be worried about being pulled down, so, again, Rumble may not have quite the same reach as YouTube has, and I still think YouTube has a place, and I'm still hoping to keep my station. It's one of the reasons I'm not going to be live streaming on YouTube again, because I don't want to lose the entire station like a lot of other people have, by the way. I've got something like, I don't know, 500 videos up there. I've had it for years. I've got about 4,000 followers. I don't want to completely see that wiped out. So, but I'm no longer going to be live streaming on YouTube, nor I may occasionally download a program if they give me back the ability to do that. And that's supposed to happen next week. But it's only going to be for non-controversial things. You know, I do sometimes interview authors, or I get into topics that are permissible by YouTube standards, maybe talking about how to bake chocolate chip cookies. I don't know. But, you know, I'm really tired of the censorship over there. So I am very pleased to announce that Rumble is going to be the flagship station for Charles Moscowitz Live as I enter the new year and as I launch my live and interactive program, which will include chats and phone calls, and we'll all just have a great time. You know, it's going to be later at night, frankly, which I think is probably, I don't know, it's more conducive to perhaps a chance to reflect on the day. And maybe there's a couple of reasons why I want to do it late, and I'm pleased to do that. I will take comments. If you happen to be watching right now live, you can do that at Rumble. Just go to Charles Moscowitz Live and you'll see the station. You can comment there, or you can call in at 617-396-4958. That is the number. Now, look, there's a lot of issues I'll be getting into with a lot of guests that I was not allowed to have on YouTube because they've been banned. In a way, losing YouTube has been a blessing in that I feel liberated, I feel unfettered, I feel unleashed as I enter the new year. I can now have on people to discuss the election of 2020, which of course was the presidential election that we have every 4 years. But on this particular one, we are not allowed to talk about it on YouTube unless we throw a flower at Biden. I have guests I'm going to bring on who were, you know, involved in that and the improprieties that occurred during that election. People like Sidney Powell, maybe Rudolph Giuliani might come on with me, I'm hoping. You know, Joe DeGeneva and Victoria Tonsing, both of whom did a lot of broadcasting on that topic. Captain Seth Keschel, who's still involved and who's doing research county by county across the country. He's a military expert. And several other people who know what they're talking about with regard to what happened on that during that election. And my contention is that there's something very, very wrong with how things developed. And that has everything to do with the political situation and the social situation that we are in now. I also intend to continue to cover the events of January 6th, the incursion into the US Capitol. That story is developing. That story is unraveling in terms of the narrative that we've been exposed to by the left and their agenda, why that happened, why I would argue, based on evidence coming out from the people at Revolver, and I intend to have them on this program, particularly Darren Beatty, who is one of the chief writers over there, that you had FBI agents embedded into the people who entered the Capitol. They may have been the ringleaders. That also was the case, apparently, with the attempted kidnapping of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. There were more than half of those people were FBI agents. And there's now a lawsuit claiming, and I think we'll hear the evidence, that they were the ones who were the ringleaders pushing the thing forward. Did that happen on January 6th? Was that a situation analogous? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the pandemic, which of course is a real thing. I've certainly taken precautions. And we're going to talk about the vaccine, which is something that I will tell you I have had. I'm not anti-vax, but there are things about it that need to be discussed with people who might have views that are alternative to the dictatorial views expressed by people like Fauci and others. I just interviewed the publisher of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s book, The Real Anthony Fauci, and it's one of the best-selling books in the country right now, but yet it's been banned in terms of any coverage in the mainstream media. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about all of the nuances around that subject, what it means politically, what we can do in terms of our own health, how we can improve our immune system, and all of the rest. And we're going to talk about social issues. I mean, we're going to talk, I'll give one quick example, and I'm not going to stay on too long. I just want to really roll this out tonight. I'm getting ready for the new year here, but recently at my synagogue, we had not a rabbi, but it happens to be a medical doctor who was filling in for the rabbi in terms of sermon and comment on, on Torah, on Shabbos. And he made a comment, and by the way, I'm not going to mention the synagogue, I'm not going to mention any names here, but this is a well-known doctor, a pediatrician, at a big hospital in Boston where I am. And he talked about the book of Genesis and the fact that in Genesis, it clearly says in Hebrew and in English translation that God created man and women in his image. And by the way, it does say women along with man, and that being Adam and Eve, the father and mother of all of us in the biblical sense. And he went on to say that this was, stated in the Torah, but at the same time, we now know that there are some ambiguities around that. It's not quite that simple. And then he went on to give other examples of apparently when the Torah says something that is very clear, it's not really so clear. There are ambiguities around it. Well, I'm not going to bring it up to him because I live in the normie world, frankly. I live in a liberal world where you have a liberal culture, a liberal ethos. I have a liberal family. This is one of the reasons I love this show, is because I can operate on another plane here with another name, by the way. Moscowitz is not the name I use in my daily life. I had to change the name to protect my family, both from anger that comes my way and also because they don't agree with me. All right, fine. So I'm not going to bring it up, but I am going to comment on it here because that's what I get to do. And I get to hear from you, hopefully, by phone and by chat as I roll this thing out. And my comment here on this issue is quite simple. There is no ambiguity whatsoever. Every individual, every person born in this world today and up until the beginning of time, however that happened, whether you think it's Adam and Eve, whether you think they crawled out of what Darwin called a small warm pond, however it happened, you have only two options. Either it's male or female. You can't be both, and you can't be neither, and you can't switch from one to the other. And this is biology. That's why I want to ask this guy, not as a biblical commentator, but as a scientist. Can a person have more than one sex? No, a person is either male or female. This is science. This is also religion. This is faith. And this is a basic observation in nature. This is true of human beings. It's also true of mammals. It's true of, birds. It's true of rodents. It's true of all of life, except I suppose when you get to very, very basic forms of life, like the amoeba, or maybe the flea. I don't know. I mean, very simple forms of life. There might not be necessarily male and female. I mean, I seem to recall when growing up, my father used to keep tropical fish, and I think that they could reproduce without the male and the female, I'm pretty sure. So, they weren't necessarily male and female when you're talking about guppies in a tropical fish pond. But there is no question that as men and women, we are male or female, and to say otherwise is doing a terrible disservice to people. Now, I understand that culturally there is a movement which says, well, you can choose whatever you want to be. If you were born male, you could become female, or vice versa, or you could even switch back and forth. They call that fluid or binary. My contention is that that's a cultural phenomena. It's not biological. In other words, no matter what you say, if you were born a man, you're a man. Now, that you could even have surgery where you could have your penis chopped off and you could have a vagina built into your body, you're still a man biologically. That doesn't change. I'm sorry if people find that offensive, apparently no, but that's just biology. That's science. Now, if a person chooses to do this as an adult, as a consenting adult, they want to change their sex, at least as far as culturally or as appearances, they want to put on a dress, so they want to do whatever they want to do, then they have a right to do it, and I defend that right. I defend it as a citizen of this country. We have rights to do whatever it is we do as individuals to a pretty high degree, as long as we're not hurting others. And, there are issues around that politically, but generally speaking, I tend to lean toward freedom, and that includes freedom to sin, as long as it's, not hurting others. I mean, I tend to be libertarian in that way, even though as a conservative, I will identify where something is wrong and something is not moral. But nevertheless, this is maybe the great paradox of conservatism. We do identify what is true and what is not true, what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. But we want to have a free society where people are free to make choices regarding their own life and to deal with the consequences, plus or minus, of those choices. So I respect the fact that a consenting adult may want to do this. I wouldn't say I respect it, but I observe they have a right to do it. And if they want to be called she or they want to be called he, I will do that out of politeness. But it still doesn't take away the fact that someone's male or female. You cannot change that, no matter what you do. And I guess that maybe to wrap this up, because I'm not going to stay on long right now, I'm just introducing the program, which is going to be launching January 1st of next year. The ultimate truth of that, the proof of that scientifically, is that if you could be both, first of all, you're going to have a sex, or as the sociologists say, a gender, right? One way or the other. You can't have no gender or sex. So, but if you can't have both, because if you could, biologically, then you could impregnate yourself, and that can't happen. So even if you have a situation, and this is something that they will always bring up, where you have like a hermaphrodite, somebody who is born with both male and female sexual elements biologically, even in that case, and that's a rare situation, and it's an anomaly. It's a mutation. It's actually, I think, somewhat of a tragedy potentially. That person is still either male or female, and in a way, it's the responsibility of the parent to try to figure out which it is and to go with that, because they're not both. They're one or the other. And what to do about that, that's up to, frankly, parents. And it's a very difficult situation. It's very rare. But even then, there's still one or the other is the dominant feature. They're not equal. So that's what I have to say about that. And I'm going to be, I bring all this up only to note that besides getting into political issues and American issues and foreign policy and domestic policy, national security, economy, culture, I'm going to be getting into complex and at times, quite frankly, divisive social issues on this program. And I'm going to be having guests on from all sides of the spectrum, politically and socially. I have a long history of this, going back to the days when I used to have on Noam Chomsky and Howard Zinn and Gloria Steinem, Barney Frank. I'm going to be bringing on people that I don't agree with, hopefully, if they come on with me, and they may not. But I think that enough of them will. And to have a good, solid, honest, lively, free, and uncensored conversation, because I think that conversation is the best way to, and the best remedy toward understanding what makes us as individuals tick, what makes our society tick. And censorship is a way, when it suppresses that kind of freedom, it backfires. It's bad for, if you have a point of view, if you're going to suppress the opposition using force, that's going to backfire. I believe that. And I think that groups like YouTube and them are making a big mistake by doing what they're doing. And it's not going to work in the long run. I mean, a perfect proof of that is Robert F. Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci. It's being denounced by the mainstream media. He's not getting any book reviews. He's being attacked personally. And yet, the book is flying off the shelf. It is the #1 bestseller. He can't keep it in print. He keeps having to reissue new issues of it. So you cannot suppress speech, And by the way, his book is very good. I mean, not only is he the scone of the Kennedy family, and not only is he a trial lawyer, but he is also has created an organization, I think it's the Children's Defense Fund, that has done a very thorough job of vetting all of the information that he has in this book, and with footnotes, and it's very well done. It has not been challenged on fact. The way they're going about it is to challenge him. Well, we're going to talk about who the so-called they are, why they are doing this, what is going on with them, psychologically, politically, and otherwise. So that's what I'm up to. I'm looking forward to the launch of the program. Again, it's Charles Moscowitz live Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight, Eastern Standard Time, starting next week. And I will be taking phone calls. You're welcome to join the program. So you might want to write down the number, 617-396-4958. That number again is 617-396-4958. The flagship station is Rumble. You're going to be able to make comments on Rumble, which I will answer. And also check out the website, which has a list of 10 different live streaming entities and about 25 podcast entities that carry the program, including some big ones like iTunes, Apple iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So, I think that I've got enough of a footprint here, and enough venues and platforms to get this thing off the ground. I'm expecting just to build up enough of an audience that we can get together every night. We can delve into issues. We can have a good time. That's really all I expect. And I'll also mention that the program is sponsored by myself. I don't have sponsors. I don't ask for donations. I have books. I'm the author of almost 20 books. They are available at Amazon Books or Barnes & Noble. You could just put my name in the server, Charles Moscowitz. I'm going to hold up one of my most recent books, The Satanic Conspiracy, The Spectre Haunting Mankind. My most recent book is called Sociology for Conservatives. I'm a student of sociology, and I noticed, obviously, that the social science is very left-oriented. So I think that maybe I could contribute toward launching a conservative school of sociology. I'm going to be having sociologists on the show to talk about that. So check it all out. Check out the website, charlesmoskowitz.com, where you can get full access to the program, both audio, video, phone number, chat, you name it. It's all there, hopefully. I mean, no, it is. I get somebody working on a few nuances right now, and that should be up as soon as tomorrow. But in the meantime, you can check it out. And we shall see each other, God willing, next year, next Monday, as I launch, or Friday, actually, technically, as I launch this venture of mine. Thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. God bless America. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. And God bless you all. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.